friends, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Natalia Leigh. I'm an indie author and the managing editor at Enchanted Publishing, and welcome back to a editing slash kind of early preparation for publication vlog. It has been a few weeks now, I think, since I last updated you, and a lot has happened in those 2 weeks or 3 weeks or however long it's been. So I'm going to take this moment to kind of get you caught up on everything, and then moving forward, I'll be kind of bringing you along with me probably this week, maybe even next week. We'll see how much footage we get, and we're gonna go from there. So the last time I touched base with you, I think I was about to get started on the first round of revisions on the third book in my paranormal romance trilogy. As it turns out, I have finished that round of revisions, and then after that I went right into the first round of revisions on my contemporary romance, and I finished that this morning. And let me say, I have never ever edited a book as fast as I edited that contemporary romance. I think contemporary romance might be my new thing that I really want to write. I have so many ideas for other books. I have another contemporary romance partially outlined at this point. I think it's like halfway outlined, but anyway, I finished both of those revisions. So both of those books are now on their second draft, and maybe tonight, if not tonight, then tomorrow morning, I'm going to start the third draft on the paranormal romance book. So that's what I've been doing. Mew also got really sick. She is okay now. She's sitting right here. She has her little food plate there, so she's grooming herself now. She is doing much better now, but she got quite sick for like 2 weeks. And now we're on probably the third week, and she still has some lingering like symptoms, and the sickness that she got, whatever it was, the vet wasn't able to tell us, but whatever she got, it just like kept changing and kept changing and kept changing into something else. But she is finally on the up, and that was just so stressful. Of course, I'm sure you all know this, anyone who has animals in the family. When they can't tell you what they're feeling and they can't tell you what they need, it is just so stressful and difficult and scary. And she is 16. She's a senior girl, so I do my best to take really good care of her. So seeing her struggling and not feeling well was super hard on me. I did not feel like filming at all. I was just like hovering at her bedside constantly. So I'm very glad that she is starting to feel better. So that went on, finished those revisions. Let me go ahead and get these pulled up. I'll let you know where the word counts are sitting. I added to both of them. I didn't add a ton, and I especially did not add a ton, I don't think, to the paranormal romance. And I think I've learned a really important thing for myself. I've always been an outliner. I have tried a little bit of pantsing, and it doesn't work for me. That's just not the way that my brain operates. I cannot sit down and just like be free and write something. I find that not having an outline is stifling to me. I can't do it. And with these two books, I edited both of these books using my new outlining method. And that new outlining method uses quite a few different craft books and styles and different outlining methods all kind of meshed into one. I outlined these two books using that new method. They're the first two books that I ever outlined using that method, and I think it's a game changer for me, because going through these revisions, I had very minimal developmental changes to be made, and I attribute that to how meticulously I outlined them. I guess I always, up to this point, kind of had it in my head that no matter what I do, no matter how carefully I outline, like there has to be this huge round of developmental revisions. Like a lot of people talk about that too. Like it's kind of hyped up, isn't it? Like, okay, I'm doing my developmental revisions now. And I get it. That is where the heaviest revisions can happen. But with this way I'm outlining now, reading through these books, I really found that I didn't have plot holes. I didn't have inconsistencies. I didn't have these big things that were problematic and needed to be fixed to make the plot work. Like when I wrote the second book in my paranormal romance, I'm sorry, my glasses always get smudged from my eyelashes. Like, I literally clean my glasses probably 50 times a day because my eyelashes just brush against them and smudge them. It drives me mad. But when I wrote book 2 in my paranormal romance trilogy, I had not yet started learning, or I had not yet started using my new outlining method, and that book needed a lot of help. That book needed a heavy restructure. It needed many chapters reworked, moved around, copy and pasted, revised. That required a heavy developmental revision. Book 3 didn't. There were minimal changes. And then what I did do, I finished 2 of the scenes that I had left unfinished in the first draft. So of course I finished anything that was not yet complete. So now I have a nice, full, kind of clean and polished draft. And then with my contemporary romance, there were just a few little conversations that I knew I needed to add. Conversations between the main female character and her love interest, things that I just felt like I want to deepen their conversations. That's something I'm always kind of working on now, is working harder on my dialogue, trying to make the dialogue go somewhere instead of it just being like dialogue that's just filler. And I had so much fun writing those 2. I even told Greg this morning, I finished that revision, and I told him, I think this is my favorite book I've ever written. And up until this point, Pistol Daisy has been my favorite book I've ever written, but I think I can say now that this contemporary romance is probably my favorite I've ever written. And for very different reasons. This book is nothing like Pistol Daisy. It's a contemporary. It's set in Los Angeles, California, and it was so fun. I loved every moment of it. So anyway, what I was trying to say before I got incredibly distracted was that with this new outlining method, I think I might be able to cut a huge chunk of time out of my revision process, because if I can nail the entire plot, like really nail it in the outlining phase, I can save myself a month or 2 months of time that I then do not have to devote to heavy developmental revisions. And there have been authors that I have, listened to interviews of, or, I listened to them on podcasts, and some of them talk about being able to write, edit, and publish their books incredibly fast. And I always wondered, how do they do that? How could they ever possibly do that? And these are writers who have large fan bases. People love their work. And I think it's because they have just really gotten to the point where they understand their own process and they understand the stories that they intend to tell. And then the editing process isn't as daunting. It doesn't take as long. It's not as in-depth, I guess you could say. And that's how I feel about these books. So, third book in my trilogy, 53,920. So in my revision, that's fair, I added 4,030 words. It is now sitting at, like I said, 53,920, so let's just round up to 54,000. And for me, I'm very comfortable with this book sitting there. That is right there in the zone of the other 2 books, so I'm very happy with that. Now, my contemporary romance, I am not sure. I think I added about the same amount to that one, but that one was already longer to begin with. Draft 2 of my contemporary is sitting at 64,092 words, so I added 3,423 words. So I added fewer words to the contemporary, but it is longer. It's sitting at 64,000, and again, very happy with that. I don't know if it's always possible that I could start writing long books again, but I think I've really found a sweet spot for myself between 50 and 70,000 words. The books are quicker to write, they are quicker to edit, and if you are somebody who is paying for editing services, for example, they're gonna be cheaper to have edited too. So for me, that is a sweet spot. So I added to both of those. I'm sitting at a second draft on both of those. What am I working on now? I am going to start the line edit on, it's gonna be like a line/copy edit, which for clients I typically do not suggest. But because my developmental revision was so light, I focused on more of a line edit. So at this point it has been polished up. The, you know, the flow, the language, the voice, all of that has been addressed and it's gone through one round of revisions. So I will always be on the lookout for like awkward, clunky sentences, things that don't make sense, anything of that nature. But my next revision will primarily be focusing on the copy edit and getting this as sharp and polished as possible before I give it over to Greg to have him format it. And I am honestly thinking, I have this publication calendar pulled up for myself. I gave myself 13 days for this. So if I start tomorrow on April 30th, I plan to have this done by May 12th, which is going to be a Sunday. And it's very possible that I could get it done sooner than that because the book is already very clean. So it's really just gonna be like a read through and looking for those final things. But that's where we're sitting. I wanted to let you know, I did my dev revisions on both those books. I'm moving into the copy editing phase, and I have moved up my publication dates. I have not actually changed them on KDP. I reached out to KDP and asked how many times I can move a release date up. I know you can only move it back once, but I thought, hey, maybe I can move it up multiple times. But they told me I can only move the date up once, so I have not actually rescheduled the release date for those pre-orders that are up. But at this point, I am thinking that book 3 in the trilogy will be out mid-June, and I was originally planning kind of late July, so that's a month earlier. And then for the contemporary, that was originally going to be early November, and then I realized that's when the election is happening. I do not want to be publishing and trying to market a book when everything everywhere is just gonna be about the election. So I knew that I had to pull it out of early November. At this point, I am thinking I'm gonna be able to publish that early August. 3 months early, and depending on how quickly these copy editing passes go and the proofreading passes, that might even bump up further. So I will just keep you updated with that. But it's 7 p.m. It's getting dark in here. This lighting is crazy. I am going to get some dinner going, get the kitchen cleaned up because it's an absolute mess right now. Honestly, I don't think I'm gonna start working on the copy edit tonight. I think I'm gonna start that in the morning. I think I would prefer to work on the outline for my next contemporary romance because like I said, I think I have that halfway outlined right now. I spent a lot of time on it this past weekend or 2 weekends ago, and it's really coming together, but it needs a lot more detail before it'll be ready to be written. I hope you're still here after this 16-minute introduction. Let's go ahead and get the kitchen cleaned, grab a bite to eat, and play around with my outline a little bit. Hello friends, happy Saturday. I haven't checked in a couple days, so I wanted to touch base with you. My copy edit on my paranormal romance is coming along quite well. I have edited 11 chapters so far. I had hoped to have finished editing 12 chapters by yesterday, so I'm 1 chapter behind in terms of where I would like to be. So I would like to try to edit 3 to 4 chapters today. I have my computer here. I'm probably going to work for a while, make myself a little something to eat. It's the morning. It's morning time. It's not yet 9:30. So I'm gonna work on that today. This morning I spent an hour or so working on a new contemporary romance outline. There was one that I had been working on and I had mentioned to you in the previous video. I think I mentioned that I was working on a new outline. I worked on that one for a couple weeks, but it just wasn't really working. Like, it wasn't clicking. Things weren't coming together in the right way. So I decided to put that one aside and start a new outline for a different book that I had been thinking about. And this one is already coming along so much better. And I think the problem with that previous outline that I put away was that I was really lacking like the emotional resonance. It felt like a very external story, and there wasn't a whole lot of like internal development going on with the characters, and I'm not sure yet at this point how I'm going to fix that. I think I might need to really restructure that and change quite a few things up, but that is why I went ahead and put it aside, and I picked up and started this new outline, and it is coming along so well. So that is probably what I will start writing when I am done with the paranormal romance and the contemporary romance. And I have everything broken down on my calendar. I don't know when I'm going to start writing again, drafting again. I want to say June or July, but I'll have to double check. So that's where we're at right now. I have Mew here on my lap hanging out. It is a very gray, foggy, kind of drizzly day. I'm really hoping we get like a downpour of rain. We could really use it because it's dry here and the pasture needs it and my compost pile needs it. I got cut off there, so I am not sure where this camera was even set up. But essentially, I was just saying it's the perfect day to write because it's all gloomy outside. So without further ado, I'm going to get started on editing chapter 12, and let's see if I can get 12, 13, 14, and 15 done today. Wish me luck.